experienced mild symptoms.
We're not in Kansas anymore.
Is this something that we need to be terrified of, or?
Become the leaders of the BRICS emerging.
Tens of thousands of
This video shows a stampede of customers.
Right, apocalyptic images coming out of Australia.
Of Korea are in Vietnam.
Hi, you guys. I'm Steve Winery. I'm the pastor at Calvary Chapel in Kennewick, Washington, and I wanted to talk to you about some last days stuff. You know, there's a passage in the book of Ezekiel in chapter 38 that talks about a battle that's going to take place between Israel and between a coalition of nations, and it names these nations, and it calls them Gog of the land of Magog, the prince of Rosh, Meshech, and Tubal, and then it talks about Persia, Ethiopia, Libya, are with them, Gomer and all its troops, the house of Togarmah from the far north and all its troops. Many people are with you. And this is one of those passages in the Bible regarding last days that identifies nations that are around today. So Gog and Magog, just about every commentator is agreed that what we're talking about there is Russia in that passage. Persia is Iran without question. Ethiopia is Ethiopia without question. Libya is Libya without question. Gomer is one of those nations that's a little vague. Some kind of East European nation is a possibility there. And then finally you have the house of Togarmah, and that is Turkey without question. It's always been something that the Turks have called themselves. And so you have this alignment of nations that come down against Israel, and they are able to go down and fight against Israel without any intervention at all, which makes you go, where's the United States? And that's the question. This week's study or devotion is addressed to an issue that is actually not about what's in the Bible, but what's not in the Bible. And what's not in the Bible is the United States. I understand that there are people who try to take passages and make the United States Babylon and that kind of thing. The point that I'm making is these other nations are named, and they're in there, and we're not there. Why not? And over the years, when I've looked at this, there have been all kinds of issues that I've looked at, and there's a possibility that there could be revival in the United States. Lots of people get saved, and so before the tribulation comes, those people are taken out by the rapture of the church. That's another study altogether. But that leaves the rest of the country in anarchy. That's a good plan. I would like that one. Other ideas have been maybe there's a nuclear war. Maybe that nuclear war coincides with this issue right here. Maybe there's an economic collapse. That's been something that's come up in the past 5 years or so. And that's interesting also. That's a possibility. The one that I hadn't considered until this year was civil war. The one that I hadn't considered until this year was anarchy. And one of the things that I do every year is a prophecy update. And this year it was in January, and I was looking at the situations that are going on around us back in January that had to do with anarchy, talking about Antifa, BLM, these kinds of movements, and the fact that they want to basically reorder the United States. They want to tear down what we have and start anew because they believe that this place is absolutely corrupt. And they have the freedom to do that. And that's interesting. We live in a country where they have the freedom to do that. And they want to do exactly that. The other thing that I was looking at was the issue of civil war. And I have a couple of articles that are here in my recent prophecy update. I'm not going to go through the articles, but I want to basically just give you the titles of the articles. Expect a terrifying year. NPR host compares America in 2020 with the U.S. right before the Civil War. Here's another one. It's 1856 all over again. Immigration, race, demographic change, political demagoguery. That year's presidential race had it all. What can it tell us about 2020? You have another article from The Atlantic. And it says, The Atlantic devotes its December issue to a special report, How to Stop a Civil War. And the articles go on. I have a number of them. Here's another one. BU historian answers, "Are we headed for another civil war?" And these are all articles that have come in within the last year or so. And then we have this situation with COVID, and then we have the situation with the death of George Floyd, and everything, all the protests that have come up after that, and we are in danger of tearing our nation apart. And so literally, we have a situation where half the nation is okay with this, and the other half of the nation isn't. And so that is another one of those things that I had not thought about literally before this year as something that would fulfill Bible prophecy. And this is what I'm talking about. When you go through the Bible, the United States is not there. When you go through the Bible, you cannot find places where unequivocally we are the last superpower on the planet, and something has to take us out. Something has to get us out of the picture for the things that we see in the Bible to take place. And I believe that we're seeing that take place all around us now. One of the things that Jesus said in Matthew chapter 24 is that you will see nation rise up against nation, and there will be wars and rumors of wars in various places. That phrasing, nation rise up against nation, is literally ethnos rising up against ethnos. Ethnos are the terms that are used for Gentile people groups, what we would call races. The Bible doesn't call them races, but Gentile people groups. And that's exactly what we have taking place in America right now. Signs of the end, signs of the times. Jesus, again, when he was looking at the issues concerning the last days, he said, when you see all these things begin to take place, look up, for your redemption draws near. You need to be looking up.